If you're familiar with the story, the End Sarawak series from Instagram, you will know that 10 years ago, I started a save with Sarawak FC. Sarawak United. Let's bring them up. Even just saying that club's name makes me feel very uneasy. Sends a chill down my spine. Makes me almost want to puke. Just a little. Just doesn't sit well. So we took over Sarawak in the year 2021. The first season was a match made in heaven. We won the Malaysian Premier League, which is the second division in Malaysia. We won it comprehensively. I think we lost one game all season, and we were only predicted to, finish. I think it was mid-table. It was an incredible season. The fans adored me. I'm sure of that. The players adored me. And I can already hear you asking, what went wrong? Well, 5 games into our first Super League campaign, listen, I'm not going to lie, it was a rocky start. It was a rocky start, to put it lightly. We didn't win any of the first 5 games, but we were very unfortunate in a lot of those games. A lot of narrow losses, what you'd call a lot of FMs. 1-0 after, 20, 25 shots on target, lose 1-0. That kind of stuff. It was a blip in the road on a track to definitely a Super League title within 3 years. But after 5 games, I was called into the chairman's office. They said they weren't happy. Listen, I wasn't happy to be called into that office in the first place. So I came in. I was a little frosty. Potentially, some would say aggressive. Potentially, I was aggressive. And one thing led to another. And I left that office without a job. Now, the only highlight of that whole time was this man, Uche Agba, who is actually a friend of the channel now. He's a good friend of the channel and a good friend of the page on Instagram. He comments a lot of wholesome stuff on the Instagram. You've probably seen him. He comments on most things, just really nice affirmations. Telling the FM community that they're lovely. Just really nice guy. So in that title winning season, you can see here on the right hand side, 19 appearances for Uche Agba. It's a 22 game season. I think he had a couple of niggling injuries. He scored 34 goals. Unfortunately, Uche left us when we were promoted, and he went to Kano Pillars in Nigeria, his home country. And that really signalled the beginning of the downturn in performances, and it was the beginning of the end for my time at Sarawak. Maybe I'll get Uche on this channel, and I've got a few questions to ask him. Why he left us, and also how a man with such a pure heart can associate himself with such a foul and disgraceful football team. I will contact Uche on Instagram and see if he'll come on for potentially a Zoom. Anyway, back to the story. Listen, if you already know this, you might as well fast forward potentially another 6 minutes. I couldn't get a job, so it was 2 months into the season. I'm unemployed. I was thinking, you know what? I won the league title, the second division in Malaysia. Maybe someone in the lower echelons of English football will give me a chance. That was naive of me. That was very naive of me. No one did. No one would even interview me. That was until this club, Palis Daraja, Malaysia FC. They were at the bottom of the Premier League, which had won the season before. But they said, hey, listen, they saw talent in me. They saw it, and they gave me the job. They asked me to save them from relegation, and we did that. We did that quite comfortably. We ended up mid-table. despite the fact we should have been gone. We called them the police. It's actually it's the police of Malaysia. It's their football team. We stayed there for 8 years, 9 years. We stayed there for 9 years, and it was 9 of the best years I've ever had a football manager. It was, if you've seen the Instagram, you'll know just how special those years were. We got promoted in our first full season as champions. In that season, we won the Malaysian Challenge Cup, which was great. And then we got into the Super League. I think we finished 6th in the first season, which wasn't too bad. We were supposed to avoid relegation, and then we really became a force. We signed who is widely known as the greatest footballer of all time by now, Michael Quinn. We signed him in the year of our Lord 2023. In the Premier League, in that title-winning season, he scored 31 in 22, played every game, 11 assists. So, he was unselfish. An average rating of 8.2. He came into the Super League, and listen, these are very respectable numbers. In the highlight there in the 2025 season, he scored a goal a game. He had a blip toward in the later years. He did have a blip. There was a lot of question marks. A lot of people questioning whether he was the man to take us to a league title. And then in our league winning season, he got back to his best, 7.73, which was his best average rating since that first season in the Premier League. It was it was like a Rocky story. It was like a Rocky story. It was fantastic. We then brought him to Stoke, which we'll go into shortly. So after 8 years, 9 years, or 8 or 9, I don't know. We won the league with PDRM, and well, the lads on Instagram, they said, "Listen, it's you've worked wonders. You're a king to that club. It's time to move on." So I started putting feelers out. Got a couple of interviews with League One clubs, League Two clubs. A couple fell through. Sheffield Wednesday was, I thought that was going to be a done deal. They chose someone else. That's fair enough. I think they chose Virgil van Dijk. I think they chose Virgil van Dijk instead of me. That's fair enough. He's a fantastic man. So Stoke come along, and we accept Stoke. Now, I have to be honest with this when I say this, is that I'm not a big fan of Stoke. I don't know whether it was the Tony Pulis era of Stoke. It's just not a club that really, I don't want to offend any Stoke fans who will be watching this, and there will be a few. It's just not a glamorous club. It's a big club, absolutely no denying that. And listen, I don't live far from Stoke. I actually live I live in Cheshire. All I'll say is my heart's not there, and I don't think it'll ever be there. But I am here to do a job, and I accept that. I'm here to take the next step in my managerial career. The aim was always start at the very bottom of Malaysia, and win the Premier League in England. That will be the challenge complete. Now, obviously, I got a little sidetracked along the way because I fell in love with the police. I'm only human after all. So Stoke are the next challenge. We took over at the start of this, 16 games into the season. I think they were 19th. I mean, someone will know. I posted on Instagram. So I think we were around 19th. We were struggling to stay in the division. We managed to take them to dizzy heights of 5th place with about 6 games to go. And now you can see something went very wrong. And if you followed this series quite closely, you'll know that it is in my nature to have monumental collapses, both on and off the field, at the most crucial moments. Mentally, just not there. So we fell out. This team that I inherited wasn't strong enough to go up. I'll run you through the team now, but it wasn't strong enough to go up first season. I knew that even if we made that the playoffs, Brighton would have schooled us quite comfortably. So would Swansea. It was trouble for us this season. Bed in, figure out the squad, figure out where we need players. I did a little bit of business in January, which I'll show you about shortly, but I'll give you a quick rundown of the team. In goal, we have a very mediocre goalkeeper in Lewis Webb, who was signed this season, not by me. Good Lord, it wasn't me. It was signed from Carlisle, from the previous manager. It was a very poor piece of business. He's a very bad goalkeeper. He's cost us potentially 9, 12 points maybe. He's not good at all. In right back, we have one of my January transfers, Andre Nesselquist, Norwegian. We signed it from Arsenal for 92,000. He's had a reasonable start to his career. He's only 23. He's not going to be a first team right back up moving forward. I know that you'll probably see that there are better options there, but Norman Dance is another one. He's pretty good. But I think as we grow, we'll probably get rid of Dance. We'll keep Nesselquist as a backup, and you look for someone better. It's centre back. We have a very promising Croat named Tony Selak. He's 19, under 21 international. Take a look at his stats. He's pretty good, physically pretty good. And he trains well. He's improving a lot. And he didn't actually start for Stoke when I took over, but I put him straight into the first team. He was signed from Dynamo, who have got some great young talents on the game. They always have. He's been very solid. Good with the ball at his feet. He plays in the ball. He's a ball playing defender. And then next to him we have Janet Zek, who's a 28-year-old German from the Bayern Academy. Somehow went from Bayern to Preston. We won't question that too much. Bizarre. And then was signed, not by me, but he was signed for £4.5 million. He's played a 7.10. He's an okay defender. I haven't got too many qualms with the defence. And left back, it's another solid defender. It's Lucas Højgaard. Physically, fantastic. He's very consistent. Puts in a good shift. He's got pretty good left foot. He's versatile as well. You can put him in CDM. You can put him in centre back. Put him in the left wing if you want. If you're feeling completely crazy, you can put him in the right wing or right back. He's good, solid. I think Brentford have been trying to sign him. Of course, he's Danish. Of course, Brentford are trying to sign him. We've rejected a couple of bids around 4 and 5 million for him. He's a good left back and will probably be our left back, probably in the Premier League as well, I would say. Onto the midfield, we've got Juan Antonio Galvez, Spanish, under 21 international, 22 years old now. And listen, I know that your eyebrows are just raised looking at this young man. He's got some nice ratings in the right places. Technique, passing, vision, decisions, balance. I mean, he screams as a really solid deep line playmaker, and there's been a lot of interest in him as well. He hasn't performed very well. He hasn't, I must say. And weirdly, he comes from the Stoke Academy, which, again, let's not question it. Really good talent though. You'll see 4.5 star potential. He will be a part of that midfield for some time to come, I imagine. Let's move on to another. My second January signing was Ioannidis from Bayern Munich. We signed him for, look at that, 675k. Now he's only played a 6.93 so far. It'll take him a while to get into it. He played quite a bit for Bayern's A team, so he played 6 games there. A couple of games that season, a couple 3 there. So listen, he's got pedigree. You'll see he's quite similar to Galvez, is it? Yeah, Galvez. He's quite similar to Galvez, and you know what? I didn't realise he was going to be this good when I signed him. So they kind of clash. It's not really working. You can't really play them together. It doesn't work. We have like a really B-Tech Gerrard and Lampard problem. Really determined. He showed some really good guns. He's a good signing for 600k. He's already worth 5.4 mil. 4-star potential. But yeah, he does clash with Galvez. It's an issue. As well as them, we have Rafael Brito from Benfica. Signed here a few years ago. has been pretty solid since. Got 8 goals last season. I don't see a goal scorer in him. I don't know where that's come from, and I don't know how he scored 6 either, and 7 the season before. This is a goal scoring centre midfielder that is, quite frankly, I mean, I don't know where those goals came from. But he's solid. A lot of 14s, a lot of 15s. He's a good player. He's 30 years old. Probably not in the long term plans, but he does complement Galvez or Ioannidis, just because he's a little bit more scrappy, can win the ball better, and he's less of the playmaker build. On the right we have, who do we have? Oh, we have Wojciech, the 22-year-old Polish international, actually. Plays on the right as an inside forward for us. He has flurries of really good form. I think he scored like 4 in 4 in my first 4 games, and I thought he was going to be a superstar. He's inconsistent, but you know, there's a lot to like about him. There is a lot to like about him. His dribbling, his finishing, that technique is impeccable. Whether he's going to be the long-term right winger, I'm not sure. We also have Jose Rivera, on loan, who has also impressed me. He kind of rotates on that right wing. 7.08. 6 goals, 9 assists. He's a good player. On loan from Leicester. Behind the striker, we had a 24-year-old Slovakian who we signed in January for 700k. It hasn't worked out so far. I've always got my queries in signing Eastern European players who've not got the experience in the Premier League or in one of the major leagues. He came from Slovakia. He struggled with the pace. He gave away a couple of goals as well sloppily. His passing was shocking in the first couple of games. He gave away 2 sloppy passes. We conceded 2 goals, and he struggled to really win my heart since then. But you know, there's a good attack midfielder. I think he's 6'2" as well. But you know, the composure's there, the flair's there, the vision's there, the passing is unbelievable. Even first touch dribbling, long shots, they're all incredible ratings. The vision's 15, agility 14. You know, physically for a big lad, there's a lot to like about him as well. Now, I would love for you lads to give a few suggestions on how we get the best out of him, because there's a player there. You're looking here and you're seeing a player that is a good player. And there's no denying that this is a good player. And you look at his under-21 record, 28 goals in 50 games. Would he work as a... No, he wouldn't work as a striker. His finishing's 8, but... There's 17 composure. Potentially as a shadow striker. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Back to the team. Left wing. A lot of people have been DMing me about this, man. Now, obviously, we didn't develop him, but very highly rated. Thierry Neves. From the Reading youth system, 21 goals and assists this season, which is his best. His career best, and he's 30 years old. Again, you know, he's impressed me in bursts as well. But anyone over the age of 25, they're on the way out for me. So, well, you know, he's probably got one more season in the first team, I would say, because there are other places that we need to replace as a priority. And then our striker, somehow I was amazed. I was completely gobsmacked and dumbfounded that this man was still at Stoke City. Look at that. 2016, 2032. He's still bagging him in. It's his best ever season. Tyrese Campbell. It's actually I didn't notice this, but it's actually his first season he's ever played over 7. He's been a good striker for me. He lost his place in the team towards the end of the season because his attitude wasn't. I know for a club legend he should be giving it more. I didn't like his attitude. I didn't like his work rate. I didn't think he was doing enough. So I did drop him towards the end of the season. He's also requested to leave the club at the end of the season. So we'll probably get rid of that wage. He's on 50 grand a week. He's 32 years old. He's going to lose his pace. He's already losing his acceleration. It's a player on the way out. It's a nice swan song of him. His first, 20 plus goal season. Off you go. So that is it. Oh, and of course, to answer all of those DMs about the tactics, I always start with clean slate. I'm trying to build a footballing team that's heavily possession based. That I'm becoming obsessed with really really strong defenses. You know, at the police it was such a sucker punch every time we conceded a goal. I hate conceding goals. So I like to build a team that is solid at the back. You know, I listen, when we win 1-0, I'm delighted. It didn't quite work when we started. When we started, we barely conceded the goal. It went off. It really fell apart. Our first game was here at Middlesbrough. You know, if you look down, probably till about here, you're going to see a lot of clean sheets. Potentially 10 clean sheets there. Did fall apart a little. But so we play balanced. I don't like this is just my preference. I don't like pushing too many men forward because it leaves us vulnerable at the back. So I do play balanced. If it's a really really poor team that we're playing, I'll throw us on positive, potentially attacking if it's not going well. But what I like to do is build into the game, kind of assert our dominance on the ball, hold a lot of the ball, and then 0-0 at half time is great. Second half probably pushes a little bit more adventurous, knowing that we've got that tight grip of the game. Beautiful. 1-0, thank you. So we play short passing, but this, I've only just started experimenting with this, because I don't like the players. This team needs an overhaul. A lower tempo, sometimes go much lower to be honest, but we start with lower. It's shorter passing. Potentially be more disciplined could be on there. Dribble less could be on there. I'm talking like prime Mourinho or even prime like Benitez, where look after defense first and then we'll try and nick a goal at the other end. But what I also like is overlapping fullbacks, which is completely contradictory to everything that I've just said. So you can disregard her if you like. Overlap on the right, overlap on the left. Get two really strong fullbacks. We have one really strong fullback at the minute, but that just works so well. What I love as well, what I had at the police. So I was watching a Liverpool game a while ago, and I saw on the right hand side, they almost had like, essentially Jordan Henderson was here. This is a real game that I watched. I can't remember what it was. And then they had Trent Alexander-Arnold essentially on this role, and then Mohamed Salah on this role. And then the three of them would find themselves up here in the corner, on, probably already beating the left back. And then the three of them would link up so well. And I saw how much of a problem it was, that triangle of players that they had there. So ever since I watched that, I've always tried to replicate that a little bit. Not with this team, but I did it really well with the police. I always had that Metzala here, who would just come up and down, and he would be around here when you really needed it. When your right wing, your inside forward there, and you got your full back on the overlap, it was pure chaos. No one knew what to do. There wasn't a club in Malaysia that could handle that. So we'll probably look to try and do that again. It was really really effective. But that was when I didn't have. That was when I was essentially playing like this, with a playmaker, and this guy would be up and down. This guy a lot of the ball would come through. He'd be spraying it around, and this guy would be doing the dirty work. You could essentially do that as well. But yeah, that's the way it used to be, and that's how I kind of like it. But then we signed Inje, who's he's a cult hero on the Instagram. He's an absolute cult hero. We can't sign him, by the way. Everyone keeps DMing me to sign him. We can't sign him, but he changed the way that I play football, because he's an attack midfielder. He plays here, and he was just unbelievable. You've probably seen some of his goals and some of his assists. He was just incredible. That signing here, that won us the league, because we had a lot of the season before. We had a lot of goalless draws. We had too many goalless draws, in fact. And he just really, really came alive, and he started a lot of attacks. Honourable mention to Tumi Tango, who was our player of the season when we won the league. Just one of the greatest South Africans ever. Full stop. A complete hero. He will go down alongside Nelson Mandela, alongside him in the history books, and I'm certain of that. We cannot sign these men because of work permit issues, and also we don't really want to leave the police in too much of a predicament because we've taken Quinn. We took Quinn, and I'm not sleeping well since we did that, and it shows. They're 3 points off the pace. They're still in with a chance, but they would have been in a much better chance had they kept this man, wherever he is, Quinn. He's not good enough for this level. He never was going to be good enough for this level. He's 1 star. 1 star's generous. He's got 6 pace. He's got 5 stamina. Now he does know where the back of the net is, though. He is a goal scorer. He's only started 1 game in the championship, and he scored. And you know what? I'm going to show you that goal right now because it was quintessential Quinn. Who did he score against? It could have potentially been in the last game of the season. But this is just a man who knows where the goal is as an instinct at any level. Put him in Bayern Munich team. He will know. And that needs to be respected. Here's the goal. Keeper has an absolute doozy of a clearance, but look at that. 1 touch, turn, bang. Unbelievable. The crowd went absolutely wild. I was criticised quite heavily for that signing. But listen, I silenced the haters. Now, I don't know what I'm doing with Quinn. I don't know what I'm doing with Quinn at all. But we are currently approaching pre-season. What I'm going to do, because I've given you the intro now, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop, bring an end to this, and then do some fast forwarding, get us towards the start of the season, make some transfers, get us ready for what will quite possibly be the greatest season that anyone's ever had in the Championship. And we're just going through the season roundup. It was largely uneventful. And quite frankly, listen, I don't know how long I'm going to be at this club. I'm not loving my time here at the minute. To be honest, there's not a day that's gone by that I haven't regretted leaving the police. My heart is still in Malaysia. The Malaysian people were wonderful to me. I was somewhat of a hero there. You'll see. You see on the Instagram posts. I've grown a lot of Malaysian followers. People have done Instagram stories. About calling me the white man who's managing in Malaysia on Football Manager. It's a wonderful country. I do want to go there as well. Now I did look at flights. COVID won't let me, but when we're allowed back in Malaysia, if this save gets the fairy tale ending of me going back as a Premier League winner, back to Malaysia, to the police, nobody else, to the police, to win the league again, that would be the perfect fairy tale ending to this series, and I will potentially end it at that point with a trip to Malaysia to meet the team. Listen, the club itself, they're a friend of the channel. You'll have seen on Instagram they're a big friend of the series. I'm sure they wouldn't mind me knocking around the changing rooms and knocking around the training pitch for a couple of days. Maybe we'll do it. But until then, we will sign out and we will upload the next video tomorrow.